You ever come home thinking the hardest thing you'd have to face is a pile of mail and maybe a busted porch light? Yeah, that's what I thought too. But when I stepped off the plane at Fort Hamilton, sand still clinging to my boots, duffel bag heavy on my shoulder, 9 months deployed, and all I wanted was a damn steak on my own grill, I had no clue I was walking straight into a war zone with different rules. And let me tell you, nothing in combat ever felt as personal as what I saw when I pulled into my neighborhood that day. My land was just gone. Not just the deck I built with my bare hands, but my entire backyard, like someone had erased the line between my life and theirs and redrew it without asking. I stared at that patch of dirt, half-finished community garden, plastic fencing, and those cheery little HOA signs, like it was a bad joke on me. That's when I heard her. Amanda Langford, president of the East Ridge Heights HOA, marching down the sidewalk in her bubblegum pink cardigan, that hair sprayed within an inch of its life, voice that could peel paint. "Oh, Henry, you're back," she says, as if she hadn't just stolen my land out from under me. "You've got some nerve, Amanda." I shot back, stepping out of my truck, all deployment grit and zero patience left for small talk. "Want to tell me why my backyard is a community garden now?" She does this thing, tilts her head like I'm the unreasonable one. Well, technically, Henry, that parcel was always a gray zone. The HOA voted to repurpose it for the good of the community. You weren't really using it anyway. I told her I had the deed to prove otherwise. She waved me off like I was a toddler arguing bedtime. "I'm sure we'll sort it out. In the meantime, the garden's already approved, funds allocated. You know how it is. Use it or lose it." I remember thinking, that's not how property law works. But Amanda just smiled, turned her back on me, and said, "Maybe you shouldn't leave for so long next time." Yeah, that happened. I went straight to the county records office, still in my uniform, still smelling like jet fuel and bad coffee. 20 minutes later, I had confirmation. My property line was right where I remembered. But the clerk leaned in, voice low. "That's weird. The HOA filed a boundary correction while you were deployed. Said your lot was improperly surveyed, and it was approved by the board." Approved by the board, my ass. I grabbed a copy of the paperwork and saw it. Amanda had forged my signature, and not even well. Looked like a toddler with a crayon. Worse, they'd sold a chunk of my land to the HOA for $1. My land, for $1, while I was deployed overseas. It wasn't anger yet, just a calculation. Because Amanda Langford had just made a massive mistake, she thought she'd already won. So I set up cameras front and back, dug out every old file from my land purchase, and called my lawyer, Curtis, an old buddy who owed me. We started building a case. Fraud, forgery, illegal seizure, you name it. I didn't make a fuss, not yet. I knew Amanda's kind, the ones who got sloppy when they thought no one was watching. I watched, documented every dollar spent on that garden, every board meeting, every time Amanda strutted by like the queen of the cul-de-sac. Meanwhile, I'd already filed suit, not just to get my yard back, but to freeze the HOA's accounts for fraudulent management. And here's the twist. Turns out the judge assigned to my case was a retired Marine. This was going to get interesting. Curtis called the night before the hearing, voice grave. "We're up tomorrow." I filed a motion to freeze their assets. Judge approved. Amanda has no idea, but her garden project is dead in the water. Next morning, Curtis looked like he hadn't slept in 2 days, handed me a folder. "Judge wants clean copies of everything. We're not just going after the survey. You'll want to see Exhibit G." Inside, an affidavit supposedly signed by me, giving 20% of my lot to the HOA. Notarized by Amanda's niece, who lives in Tampa. Not even licensed in this state. You know what I mean? It just kept stacking up. We walked into court. There's Amanda, no lawyer, just her and Paul, the guy who always tucked his polo into jeans. Judge RWS comes in, all business. "Mr. Carter, you own Lot 43. You allege the HOA, represented by Ms. Langford, submitted forged documents to reassign your land." I said yes. Curtis spelled out the fraud. Amanda barely looked up, just mumbled, "It's all a misunderstanding. Henry's territorial. We just wanted to improve the neighborhood." Judge didn't buy it. "Your job is not to commit real estate fraud, Ms. Langford." Curtis moved to compel the HOA to open their books, financials, meeting minutes, the works. Judge approved, suspended all their projects. Amanda finally looked rattled. "You planned this," she whispered to me outside the courtroom. I just said, Careful. You're under oath. You should have seen her face. Turns out, neighbors started coming forward. Folks who'd lost little bits of land while traveling, vacation homes, elderly, military. Amanda had been at this game for years, and she'd funneled HOA funds into shell companies owned by her family. We tipped off the state attorney. Now it wasn't just civil, it was criminal. That night, I walked the perimeter of my empty backyard. What was left of the garden, just some weeds and a sad pile of mulch. But there was a new stake in the ground, tagged Garden Expansion Phase 2, approved May 3rd. The court order halting work had been issued on May 1st. Somebody was ignoring the law. Curtis filed a contempt motion, and by noon the next day, a county inspector was in my yard, notebook in hand, muttering, "This is blatant. They're lucky it's not criminal." I told him, "Depends what they dig up next." Dig they did. The state found 5 other land transfers, all with forged surveys, missing signatures, fake notaries. All led back to Amanda and her inner circle. But then Mary Ellen, the treasurer, a quiet woman with a knack for keeping receipts, came forward. She handed over emails showing Amanda had paid off board members, fast-track projects, kept hush money flowing from the so-called beautification fund. We had enough to place the HOA into receivership. A court-appointed manager took over. Amanda was stripped of power overnight. At the next community meeting, the rec center was packed. People who'd never spoken to each other crammed in, and you could feel the tension. The new administrator read out the findings. My land would be restored, and every project Amanda started was suspended, pending review. Amanda lost it, shouted about progress. Frank, the oldest neighbor there, fired back. Progress doesn't usually involve felony charges, Amanda. The room broke out in laughter. She stormed out, heels clacking, empire crumbling. Outside, Curtis said, "DA's pressing charges, fraud, forgery, maybe racketeering if they can prove those shell companies." I asked, "What about the HOA? Special election, new bylaws, and you, thanks to the court order, have veto power over land deals." I looked at the street. For the first time in months, it actually felt like home again. The next morning, a white SUV idled at Amanda's house. Feds. By noon, she was gone, clutching her purse in the back seat. They found fake companies, fake tax IDs, and a ledger with my name and notes. Military gone. Prime target. Curtis said. She wrote it all down. This could bury her. Paul Davis cracked first. In exchange for immunity, he gave up Amanda's email server, offsite, routed through Nevada. That's when it got darker. Amanda had been selling homeowner info, names, birthdays, garage codes, to marketing firms, maybe even criminals. Now it was identity theft, not just land fraud. The feds seized her electronics, found burner phones, prepaid debit cards. By Friday, they filed federal charges, 23 counts, including wire fraud, identity theft, money laundering. The fallout didn't stop there. Turns out Amanda had threatened Mary Ellen, told her to keep the books tight or your husband's business gets buried. That was it for her. The administrator held a second meeting, this one in the Civic Hall, plainclothes cops at the exits. "The HOA is dissolved," the administrator said. "All authority goes back to the town council. Anyone who paid into Amanda's initiatives gets refunded." Stunned silence. Then questions about cameras Amanda had installed without permits, about fines that didn't exist, about lien letters that were just intimidation. Curtis answered every one. Amanda had turned the HOA into a racket. After, Paul Davis found me. She told us it was just paperwork cleanup, that the county wouldn't care. If we didn't sign, she'd ruin our credit. He walked away. That night, neighbors I barely knew waved. Some just nodded, but for the first time, it felt like we were all breathing easy again. 2 weeks later, Amanda's indictment was unsealed. No bail. She was a flight risk. They'd found a passport with a fake name and tickets to the Caymans. The town council set up a task force, asked me to join. At first, I wanted nothing to do with it. But then I thought about everyone Amanda had targeted, the ones who never had a chance to fight back. So I said yes. We rewrote the subdivision charter. No board without direct elections. No fines without a court order. Every financial record posted publicly. Every resident able to override decisions by petition. Curtis drafted, Mary Ellen kept the books, and I just made sure nobody tried this crap again. Amanda's house sold at auction. The proceeds went to repay stolen HOA funds. My backyard restored, fence and all. I left a small metal plaque at the edge of my land, not visible from the street. It reads, "This land was stolen. It was taken back. It doesn't matter if you're gone a week or a year. Your home is your home. No one has the right to take it." Early summer heat, subpoenas everywhere. Detective Kramer drove by, didn't stop, but I knew things were moving. Curtis called. Feds traced $300,000 through Amanda's fake companies, siphoned from HOA funds, some from renovation projects. That never happened. That was the final nail. She was looking at 20 years, minimum. She tried to make a deal. Prosecutor laughed her out of the room. Neighbors stopped by for updates. An old man named Gene, fined by Amanda for paint, told me, "Feels good doing it on my own time now." The air in the neighborhood, it just felt lighter. A young couple, new to the block, waved from the yard, their toddler running through the sprinkler. "Welcome packets, only 2 pages, the wife said, grinning. No bylaws about grass height, just trash pickup and emergency contacts. Progress. By the time summer rolled into fall, things had changed. No more HOA, just a volunteer association, no enforcement, no threats, potlucks instead of meetings. Curtis handed me a thick packet, the full indictment. 52 pages. Amanda, 3 board members, even the IRS. Shell companies, P.O. boxes and burned-out trailer parks, nothing but greed. But what got me was my own name, halfway through, victim impact statement. Curtis said, "Prosecutor wants you to read it at sentencing. Tell the court what it cost you." I said I would. Sentencing day, federal court, cold, bright, Amanda in gray, hands trembling, didn't look at me. The judge read the charges. I stood, voice steady. This isn't just about land. It's about trust. Amanda didn't just steal money. She stole peace of mind, turned neighbors into suspects. She used fear as a weapon. The judge listened, then gave her 24 years, no parole. She didn't flinch. I didn't stay for the reporters. Back home, we rebuilt. Not just fences, but trust. People stopped to talk. Kids played out front. One night, someone left a note in my mailbox, a photo of the garden being bulldozed, one line, "Never again." So, that's how I fought for my own little piece of America. I served overseas to protect the idea of home. Never thought I'd have to fight for it here. But I did, and this time, we all won. Now, let me ask you, when it comes down to it, what would you do if someone tried to take what was yours, not with a gun, but with a clipboard and a smile? Is justice always that clear? Is community about trust, or just convenience? I'd love to hear your thoughts below. What would you have done? Where do you draw the line? Let's talk about it. Because if this story proves anything, it's that you can't ever take home for granted.